Alright everyone, we probably have one of the greatest cell phones in all of legacy media history on hand, which is that Ronna McDaniel was hired by MSNBC, well, NBC Universal really. And Leftoid said, well, we're going to boycott the network because this is unacceptable because supposedly she's a fascist. Now, I made a video a few days ago on the topic and I said, well, no, I mean, she's definitely a problematic individual, but you're uniting effectively the mentality of MAGA and the far left for different reasons. Like, the far left sees her as a fascist, and MAGA tends to see her as a backstabber, and I mean, she is. She didn't exactly do a good job running the RNC when she was there, and Laura Trump is definitely an improvement along with Whatley, and I think there's one other co-chair there. But you were right for the wrong reasons if you're on the left. But then they fired her within a 24-hour period. So she's basically on there for like 10 minutes or 15 minutes and then immediately get shit canned. Probably got a nice severance package. They looked at it and they said, okay, we've accidentally alienated basically our entire core audience. This is MSNBC and NBC that we're talking about. These are far left networks. These are communistic networks effectively. And you decided to hire somebody who's fresh off of the press getting kicked out by Trump at the RNC. I don't know what she's going to do for a job now. I guess she can go and consult on Fox or something like that. They'll definitely be, they'll definitely have her. You know, they got rid of Tucker Carlson, so they need a replacement. The Ronna McDaniel Hour. I'm sure that all 10 viewers would be very happy about that. I'm just wondering what the networks thought they were going to accomplish by attempting to hire her. Because they didn't look at their... It's almost like they don't understand the demographics of their viewership. Their viewership tends to be quite left and younger and on the activistic side. Well, I mean younger as far as legacy media TV broadcast. That basically means they're in their 50s instead of their 70s. So it's sort of like the Senate. What did you possibly hope to accomplish? The move made absolutely no sense. I was bewildered by it before. I'm bewildered also by them firing her because the boycott's not going to end. The left-wingers aren't going to say, oh, well, thank goodness, Ronna McDaniels is off the network now, so I have brand loyalty to MSNBC again. I mean, it's tenuous at best gaining brand loyalty for a TV slot at this point anyway. Unless your name's Tucker, of course. Maybe Sean Hannity. I'm supposedly the goth Sean Hannity, by the way. I will always think that moniker is funny. Ronna McDaniel doesn't even bring anything, even if you're trying to woo like a neocon audience, though. So you're like, okay, well, our network is 90% far left, but we really want this other demographic, so we're going to hire Ronna McDaniels. Yes, indeed, the boomer neocons are going to tune into the network that offers them Joy Reid. This made no sense. From top to bottom, from start to finish, nothing about it actually made sense at all. Completely nonsensical. She gets fired in a single day. Imagine that you're her, by the way. You're probably a little bit pissy right now. You're like, oh, well, I mean, I get the severance package, maybe. It depends on what the contract was like. But, you know, I go on one show and everyone spurgs out and says that I'm terrible. I mean, I agree that she is, but it was a little bit fickle now when you think about it. They didn't even wait to see, like, what opinions she would have or something like that. And they'd be neocon opinions, which means she'd be right at home on a network like NBC News. She would actually fit in. But they didn't understand that the audience would perceive her differently from that. The far left believes that a standard neocon is basically Hitler light. They think Ronna McDaniels is an insurrectionist enabler and stuff like that. I mean, it's the exact opposite. The reality is that she stabbed all the MAGA candidates in the back and did a poor job on purpose and basically sabotaged the 2022 midterm elections. But they don't perceive it that way. And MSNBC and NBC should have looked at their audience and said, okay, you know, our audience basically is out to lunch and they don't understand reality. So they're not going to understand why we've got Ronna McDaniel here. They're not going to get it. They're not going to understand the joke. And it is a joke. I mean, this is almost as big a cell phone as the Chaz Garden, where they're laying down layers of unperforated cardboard, tossing a little bit of dirt on top, and then planting their arugula and kale and stuff like that. By the way, my garden is thawing out back, and can't wait to spend some time in it, maybe later, or tomorrow. It depends on the weather. Ronna McDaniel, meanwhile, I mean, it would be the gardening equivalent of tossing salt into your crops, basically. It'd be like taking a salt shaker and going out there, and not for slug removal or anything like that, and saying, oh, this is great. You know, it's basically a mineral, so plants can grow on it. That's the level of self-own that MSNBC and NBC engaged in with this hiring. And it was completely avoidable. Who is advising the people at some of these companies? This happens over and over. It's like with the Biden administration, right? You know, you look at the decisions that they make, the press statements that they put out and stuff, and it often doesn't make sense. It's like an elementary school student would be able to tell you that this is a bad idea. A basic person of average intelligence would tell you that the decision that you're considering making is poor, that you should not make it. But they do it over and over again. I'm flabbergasted. How can multi-billion-dollar corporate networks make such basic mistakes? I mean, come on. I mean, it's hilarious. I like that they're making mistakes. I mean, it means more audience for people that make independent commentary because they get pissed at these networks. But how do you do this? You hired the former head of the RNC. No, there's not going to be any backlash from the 20% of our audience that sympathizes with Antifa or something like that. Again, it's just complete nonsense, and I'm confused. I don't understand it. I mean, I would expect that from maybe a neocon network like Fox makes a lot of bad decisions, like axing Tucker Carlson, literally the #1 figure on your whole network. That didn't go over so well. He's got a big audience. I guess Ronna McDaniel's now, she's going to have to join Bill O'Reilly on his podcast or something like that. That's about all. Peace out.